and another so-called feminist beat the dust. On Saturday evening it was reported that NBC has confirmed through a spokesman that the company made a payment to a Chris Matthews staff after she accused the left-wing media of sexual harassment. The spokesman added the staff was a producer who accused Chris Matthews of making wholly inappropriate comments about her when she worked on his show in 1999. The woman worked en assistant producer on the news show Hardball with Chris Matthews, which at the time was on CNBC. Soon as the impropriety took place she reported to CNBC executives that Matthews was making LWD jokes and remarked to other people about her. Executives then fully investigated the matter and dealt with it as soon as it was discovered that the accused was indeed telling the truth. They made the accusation disappear by giving the woman a $40 check. None of this comes as a surprise to those of us on the right since the so-called liberal who stand for women's rights actually got caught on amicons making LWD remark about the wife of then presidential candidate Donald Trump, Melania, during a MSNBC broadcast. Via variety, sexual harassment scandal force media companies to become the news. David Falkenflik has what some might call a plum assignment. A NPR Media correspond, can. On one day find himself interviewing the editor of the New York Times and on another analyzing whether at must take on a more daunting task. After the Washington Post revealed in October that two women alleged NPR then senior vice president of news, Michael Oreskes, had duly harassed them while working at the New York Times. Falkenflik had to turn his reporter's gaze on his own employé. It's not the first time this had to investigate Gwenson at NPR, but this particular story was a tough one to tell. He would say this is complicated because it involves, among other things, the interaction of people on a human scale, and those people are often folk who are familiar to the ones and to those of us doing the reporting and editing, says Falkenflik, and that's sobering, but the report are also written. The media knows it sons want to hear more, between the time allegation first surfaced about movie mogul Harvey Weinstein in early October and November 20, the evening news programs of ABC, NBC and CBS devoted a total of 218 minutes to harassment stories on their weekday nightly newscast, according to Andrew Tyndall, an industry consultant who monitors the program's coverage. The lion's share of that coverage has gone to news about accusation leveled at Weinstein and Alabama US Senate candidate Roy Moore. Over the same time period, the probe into Russian influence on the US presidential election drew 85 minutes of coverage. The wildfires in California wine country 82 minutes, and the Baptist Church massacre in Texas 67 minutes. Tyndall report, covering the spate of harassment scandals at HAS follows the Weinstein disclosure. HAS forced some media outlets to examine themselves too. CBS News HAS placed Charlie Rose, the former co-host of CBS This Morning, under a microscope since disclosures surfaced again in the Washington Post about a complaint by women alleging Rose harassed them. MSNBC Mika Brzezinski had the unenviable task of outlining the fate of Mark Alprin, a long-time contributor to Morning Joe, after CNN disclosed past allegation of sexual harassment against him. Says Chris Macomber, an assistant professor of sociology and criminology at Meredith College, a women's liberal arts college in Raleigh, NC. We are in the middle of a cultural shift, and the media is right there, not just showing it but experiencing it too. In many cases, the media outlets are the first to alert the public to misbehavior by executives in their organizations. Buttons revelations surface as they have little choice but to explain to viewers what's happening, and to pursue the story rigorously. Both CBS Evening News and CBS This Morning offered little sentimentality in reporting allegations against Rose. Indeed, CBS News staffers found a new accusation from 3 women at the network that the Post had not included in its original report. A person familiar with the matter said those women were discovered by CBS News reporter, and were not immediately known to management. The effort made for starting television. One day after the first allegation against Rose surfaced, his co-host on CBS This Morning, Gayle King, and Norah O'Donnell, condemned the behavior described in the Post report on air. This will be investigated. This has to end. This behavior is wrong. Period. Said O'Donnell. King also expressed uneasiness with her now former colleague. This is not the Manino, but I'm clearly on the side of the women who have been very hurt and very damaged by this, she said. The episode repeated itself a week later, when co-anchors Savannah Guthrie and Odaka Otebe, clearly shaken, informed viewers in the opening moment of the Nov. 29. broadcast of NBC Today that Matt Lauer had been fired for inappropriate sexual behavior. In other instance, stories about misconduct have put news organizations on the defensive. NBC News found itself having to explain why reporting that started under its aegis by Ronan Farrow on Weinstein ended up being published by The New Yorker. More uncomfortable still, the situation was inflamed by an appearance Farrow made on MSNBC Rachel Maddow show, where the host asked Farrow the same question you would have to ask NBC and NBC executive about the detail. He replied, meanwhile, Megyn Kelly's new morning show on NBC has been among the most active in keeping up with the news on real harassment. Since allegations against Weinstein surfaced, Kelly has hit the topic hard nearly every day she's on the air. She has one exclusive interview with accuser of Weinstein and Al Preen, as well as women who have leveled allegations against Bill O'Reilly, Brett Ratner and Kevin Spacey. Kelly's rating among viewers between 25 and 54, the once most coveted by advertisers in news programming, reached a new high the week of November 20. She has also made remarks about her experience with harassment at Fox News and about her interaction with Rose, covering the incident will continue to be a challenge for media companies, not NPR full conflict. When reporting on internal matters, staffers tend to get distracted, even wound up about information that is close to home. But NPR has protocol in place so that proper coverage is ensured, says. There's also a feeling of responsibility to listeners who are interested in how NPR conduct itself, adds. Media outlets that find dual harassment case within their own walls, says, have the obligation to confront fairly and fully issues like this if they are going to have the standing to challenge it in others. What is really fascinating about all this is how the left-wing ghosts go on cable news day in and day out, attacking the right while they have so much to hide. The arrogance and elitism in these people runs so deep that they actually believe they will never get caught. This is not the way normal men act, and it's not the way society is, yet. These same people tell us how we are supposed to use what we are supposed to think, and what is and isn't moral. If we disagree with them we get branded a bigot, racist or Nazi. Please share if you agree the elite media needs to just go away. Follow us on Facebook at Freedom Daily. We have no tolerance for comment containing violence, racism, vulgarity, profanity, all cap, or discourteous behavior. Sans for partnering with us to maintain a courteous and useful public environment where we can engage in reasonable discourse, for too long the global elite has done their best to water down America's sovereignty and hand it over to the United Nations. The goal of course, for the globalist, is to destroy the United States to implement a new world order, and all that was going along just swimmingly until President Trump was elected last year. With each passing day a President Trump threatens our country the anti-Americans grow angry et witnessing the work they did for the past 8 years there. So if you thought that the fight for our country was over now that President Trump was in office, you are wrong. The left is not one to be easily defeated and is working tirelessly to regain control, so they can continue their plan to destroy America and allow the United Nations to take control, and that was just made evident when one Democrat has publicly announced the desire to bring in armed UN troops on American soil to combat gun violence. It is no secret that the city of Chicago is a cesspool of gun violence, which makes no sense since it is a gun-free zone. You do catch the sarcasm, right? At any rate, for years the once bustling city has turned into the Wild West where criminals have the upper hand, and the citizens are sitting ducks. Instead of the leftist moron taking President Trump up on his offer to help rein in the violence that has taken over their city, one county commissioner would rather employ the support of armed troops from the United Nations. Cook County Commissioner Richard Boykin, a Democrat, has stated that they would love to work with the United Nations to reestablish safe neighborhoods. I'm hoping to appeal to the UN to actually come to Chicago and meet with victims of violence, and maybe even possibly help out in terms of peacekeeping effort, because I think it's so critical for us to make sure that the neighborhoods are safe. ASID Thursday, according to local station WBBM, Boykin continued to lament about the genocide taking place in too many of our communities, and rightly noting that most victims of Chicago's gun violence are black who have been killed at the hands of another African American. So we must protect the population group, and that's what the United Nations does. Added, they're a peacekeeping force. They know all about keeping the peace, and so we're hopeful that they'll repeal, if Boykin truly desired safer neighborhoods and wanted to put an end to the increased gun violence on Chicago streets. Why did they refuse President Trump is help earlier this year? If you remember correctly, Trump stated that they would be more than happy to send in the National Guard, though the city's left-wing mayor, Rahm Emanuel, rudely rejected this offer in January. Rahm Emanuel said, "We're going through a process of reinvigorating community policing, building trust between relationships in the community and law enforcement. The National Guard is antithetical to the spirit of what community policing is, but armed United Nations troops are so much better. Not at all, and it is well documented that the United Nations is not too keen on our second amendment, so do you think if the troops were allowed on American soil they would stop with their peace mission in Chicago? Not a chance. Here is more from Conservative Tribune. Let's be clear here, the UN is an anti-democratic organization that is hostile to the private ownership of firearms, noted 5 years ago by Ted Bromond, Ph.D., a Margaret Thatcher Senior Research Fellow at the Heritage Foundation, in a column for the Daily Signal. Moreover, the UN poses enough of a threat to the US that the National Rifle Association sought to be recognized by it, a non-governmental organization in 1996, just to monitor its activities and stop it from affecting our gun rights. NRA has been engaged at the United Nations and elsewhere. Internationally in response to overreaching small ARMS initiative for to decade the NRA Institute for Legislative Action note. During this time, we have been actively opposing transnational efforts that would limit Americans' Second Amendment freedoms. It appears that Boykin does in fact want to help the people in Chicago, but is going about it all the wrong way. If Boykin want to ensure that the innocent civilians in Chicago remain safe, he should push to take Trump up on his offer to allow the National Guard in to clean up the streets. And not the United Nations. If the United Nations is allowed to step foot in one American city, it will only be a matter of time before they come to others, and you can be sure it won't be the last. #, Conservative Tribune, follow us on Facebook at Freedom Daily. Accusations of fuel assault and harassment have been popping up everywhere and in every industry since the Harvey Weinstein scandal. They are not going away. Now members of Congress are being exposed for being all assaulters and harassers, and it has only begun. Now one of the head honcho in the Congressional Ethics Office is accused of being unethical. Furthermore, he is being accused of trying to ruin someone who exposed him while he was employed by the Obama administration. Federal Air Marshal Greg Martucci has accused Omar Hashmawi, who is the staff director and chief counsel of the Office of Congressional Ethics, of being physically abusive and dually harassing women at a Pennsylvania restaurant back on Valentine Day in 2015. The specifics are that Hashmawi purposefully harassed the bar owner's wife, a female bartender, and a third woman who tried intervening to stop the situation from deteriorating further. In a statement to Foreign Policy, the accused said the following about his alleged conduct. To be clear, he did not harass anyone that evening, physically or verbally. To the contrary, he was the victim of a wholly unprovoked assault for which those responsible were investigated, arrested and charged. Any allegation to the contrary is unequivocally false, while the allegations are just allegations. Right now it is known that that night he was on a date with his girlfriend who ended up getting beaten by 3 anonymous men while he was in attendance. 3 months later those 3 men were arrested. He was the owner of the bar. The Conservative Tribune reported one of those men, Martucci, content in the lawsuit that Hashmawi used his position in the federal government to have the 3 men arrested. A copy of the lawsuit was published by the Washington Examiner in an email to the local district attorney and the chief of police that was reviewed by Foreign Policy. Hashmawi made his displeasure with the local authorities clear. He also made clear his position in the federal government by signing it with his work title and congressional email address. According to Foreign Policy, as to date it has been over 5 weeks since he was assaulted. To that, the police department's investigation is not complete and charges have not been filed. I am deeply concerned, Hashmawi wrote. He also implied very strongly that the powers in Washington were taking an interest in the case. This was 2015, remember. And the Obama administration had more than a full year to run its course. There is no hiding what happened to me from the people interact with on a day-to-day basis, Hashmawi wrote. As a result, there are a growing number of individuals in the Washington, D.C. community who have taken an interest in this matter and are concerned that one of the reasons this matter has languished is because I'm not a resident of Milford, PA. I've assured them that isn't true. Some have even gone so far to suggest that my ethnicity, an Arab American and Muslim, might also be a factor in the delayed investigation and the charging of the individuals responsible. I've explained that is unlikely, according to Martucci's lawsuit, that remainder of Ashmavi's position, not to mention the implicit charge of racial bias, led to the arrest of the three men. The lawsuit states Ashmawi has threatened to use the power of his office as federal government official to coerce the Milford Police Department and or Pike County Office of the District Attorney to pursue criminal action against the plaintiff. The Suiklin, the Milford Police Chief told others that he was filing felony charge against plaintiff because Ashmawi was a DC big shot, and there's no doubt Ashmawi is a DC big shot when a guy helped take down a powerful lawmaker like former Rep. John Conyers of Michigan is a big shot. Foreign policy reported Ashmavi's office conduct the preliminary investigation into allegation of misconduct in the House of Representatives, deciding which case to pursue or refer to the Committee on Ethics. He is named in congressional documents as the official who presented one of the investigation into John Conyers, the Democratic lawmaker from Michigan accused of fuel harassment, to the Ethics Committee for further action. Two of the men pleaded guilty to misdemeanor charge. The case against Martucci was dropped. However, according Martucci's lawsuit, his career and personal life suffered badly because of the arrest. He was suspended from his job, but was prohibited by his federal agency from obtaining outside employment unless it was pre-authorized by SAID agency. He also lost his health insurance during the suspension, fell behind on child support payment. Had to go into his retirement savings, according to the lawsuit. He also suffered pain, suffering, emotional distress, loss of reputation and loss of career opportunities. The lawsuit states all of that is a pretty steep price to pay for getting involved in a bar fight, but according to Martucci's lawsuit, it's the price that's paid when the guy involved is a DC big shot, especially during the Obama administration. If this doesn't make Washington look like the swamp Trump supporters think it is, nothing will, with all the accusation against members of Congress. It is no wonder they have been running a fool considering the leader of the ethics office are so unethical and doing all of it themselves. They should all be held to a higher standard and we should expect more from our congressional officers. Sheriff, you agree? Follow us on Facebook at Freedom Daily. Ever since Trump defeated satanic Democrat Hillary Clinton in the election, the left has been doing all they can to bring him down. Democrats want the government to control us, and they want to take our hard-earned money and give it to their constituents in return for their loyalty at the ballot box. This is how they stay in power year after year. So when Trump came along and wanted less government control, and for us to keep more of what we earned, the Dems were having none of it. Trump is systematically destroying a corrupted system that Democrats love, so it's no surprise they are fighting back to undermine President Trump by casting doubt on his legitimacy. It has been almost a year since the investigation into collusion began, and to that, there is absolutely zero evidence that any took place. Like Jeff on Facebook at the head of the investigation is Special Counsel Robert Mueller. When Mueller was appointed to look into possible collusion on the part of the Trump campaign, he immediately hired a team of investigators who had close ties to the Clinton crime family. One top FBI agent who had Trump had to be fired after it became known that he conspired against him with others, and tainted the investigation. Rumors are now swirling that President Trump will fire Mueller as it's become obvious this is just a Democrat witch hunt to take him down. On the head of the snake, top Democrat socialist George Soros. Soros is well known for funding anti-American organizations that send thugs Into the streets to react avoc on ours. One such group is MoveOn.org. This group is now threatening nationwide unrest of the type we see with Antifa. If President Trump does indeed sack Special Counsel Mueller, via your newswire, George Soros has boasted about a plan to roll out nationwide riots across the US if Mueller drops this Trump Russia probe. The Soros-funded radical left group MoveOn.org has sworn that it will begin urs. After news break of a Mueller firing, according to a post on its website, Donald Trump is publicly considering firing Special Counsel Robert Mueller, the person leading the Department of Justice investigation of possible illegal action by Donald Trump and members of his presidential campaign, and the effort to conceal those activities. This would be a constitutional crisis for our country. It would demand an immediate and unequivocal response to show that we will not tolerate abuse of power from Donald Trump, or response in the minute and hours following. A power grab will dictate what happens next, and whether Congress, the only body with the constitutional power and obligation to run Trump in from his rampage, will do anything to stand up to him. That's why we're preparing to hold emergency. Nobody is above the law. Rally around the country in the events they are needed. IntelliHub.com report. Now the snowflakes at MoveOn.org are saying that it would be a constitutional crisis if Trump were to fire Mueller and VOW to hold emergency. Nobody is above the law. Rally in all 50 stats. The alt-left group's plan is as follows: if Mueller is fired before 2 p.m. local time, plus grand que event will begin @5 heures local time. If Mueller is fired after 2 heures local time, plus grand que event will begin @noon local time. The following day, President Trump is fully within his constitutional right to fire Mueller. Many Republican lawmakers believe he should do just that. It's obvious this isn't about justice, it's about taking out Trump because buttered lips just can't get over the fact that he won. Indeed, just today it is being reported that FBI agent be investigated by the House for anti-Trump bias. Via Newsweek, top officials at the FBI and the US Justice Department might be subpoenaed as part of a House investigation into alleged agency bias against President Donald Trump, a Republican on the House Judiciary Committee SID. Saturday that the panel's chairman, Representative Bob Goodlatte, has vowed to subpoena several leading officials at Trump and some GOP Congress members stock speculations that intelligence and law enforcement agencies are perpetuating partisan opposition against the Trump administration. Republicans are apparently focused on deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe, FBI lawyer Lisa Page, FBI Counter-Intelligence Agent Peter Strzok, who once worked on Special Counsel Robert Mueller's team investigating the Trump campaign, and former associate deputy Attorney General Bruce Washer and his wife Nellie, who were both tied to the infamous dossier alleging collusion between Trump and the Russian government. Speaking about the probe on Fox News, Representative Jim Jordan, Ohio, SID believes there has been a full-blown campaign within Washington to deride Trump's presidency, which supposedly including federal agencies. President Trump won in spite of the Republican establishment being against him, the Democrat being against him, the elite media being against him, and the FBI and Justice Department being against him. Jordan SID. Jordan did not say when the subpoenas might come, and Goodlatte's office has not confirmed the plan. Jordan has been an outspoken critic of Mueller's investigation into the Trump campaign's suspected Kremlin ties, and has even called for a second special counsel to look into Mueller's team for supposed bias. Trump has long claimed that Mueller's probe and the congressional investigation Into Russian election interference are partisan, which hunt aimed at topple his presidency. But the attacks have escalated in recent weeks as several developments have invited new scrutiny of the people probing Trump. Media report reveals that stroke was taken off Mueller's team over the summer after Mueller learned of tech strokes on Tupage during the 2016 campaign, criticizing Trump and his campaign. Meanwhile, Fox News revealed Bruce Oacher was demoted over meeting held last year with Christopher Steele, the British spy who compiled the Trump dossier, and Glenn Simpson, founder of the company that produced it, Fusion GPS. Nellie Oacher reportedly worked for Fusion GPS during the campaign, report, and Trump FBI agent led Clinton email probe. Now it all starts to make sense. Donald J. Trump, @Real Donald Trump, December 3, 2017. Florida Republican House member, Matt Gaetz who represents the Winston District when Mueller fired immediately. Rep Matt Gaetz, he thinks the president should fire Mr. Mueller. If he doesn't, he thinks the Attorney General should. And if he doesn't, he thinks Rod Rosenstein should because we've got time and again, the examples of the referee in this game wearing the jersey of the other team. pic.twitter.com/rs4digeno1dn Fox Business @Fox Business December 17, 2017 If Soros Minion wants to riot in the streets in an attempt to take down President Trump. We'll be out there making sure it doesn't happen. Share this if you think Soros should be locked up for treason. Your Newswire by Jeff Reinforce. Like Jeff on Facebook.